You did everything right. You made the cut. You wrapped it tight. You waited. And your mango graft still died. Here's the part nobody tells you. The real reason grafts fail has nothing to do with your tools or your technique. It's something happening invisibly, right under the wrap, and once you understand it, everything changes. Subscribe right now so you never miss another one of these deep dive gardening videos. We drop new ones every single week. Here's proof that this works. A backyard grower in Texas started with zero grafting knowledge. Every single one of his first 6 grafts failed. After applying exactly what we're covering today, his next round had 8 out of 10 grafts take successfully. Those trees are now 3 feet tall, loaded with new growth, and 2 of them have already started setting fruit. Same climate, same rootstock. Completely different results, because he finally understood what was actually going wrong. Now let me talk directly to you for a second. You probably found this video because you've been there. You spent real time preparing. Maybe you researched it online, watched a few videos, felt confident. You made your cut, lined things up as best you could, wrapped it carefully, and then you waited. 2 weeks go by. You peel back the tape with this little rush of excitement, and the scion is brown, dried out, completely dead. And the worst part isn't the failure. The worst part is not knowing why. You start second-guessing yourself. Was the cut wrong? Was the weather too hot? Did I use the wrong tree? You feel like you're missing some secret that experienced growers are keeping from you. You're not imagining that feeling. That secret is real, and it's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Here's the simple explanation for why mango grafting fails most of the time. When you graft 2 plants together, you are asking them to fuse into one living thing. For that to happen, a very specific layer of living tissue inside both pieces has to meet, press together, and start growing into each other. Think of it like 2 pieces of skin healing over a cut. They have to touch cleanly, stay still, and stay moist. That living layer is right underneath the bark. You can barely see it with the naked eye. It's a thin greenish ring sitting between the hard woody center and the outer bark. If that layer doesn't connect, even slightly, the graft has 0 chance of surviving. It might look okay for a few days because the scion has stored moisture, but without that living connection forming underneath, it will slowly dry out and die. Most people never even realize this is the layer they need to focus on. They're thinking about the cut, they're thinking about the wrap, but the whole game is about that thin living ring and whether or not it touches on both sides of the union. That's it. That's the whole secret. Everything else we talk about today is just making sure that connection happens and stays protected long enough to take hold. Let's go step by step through everything you need to do to make that connection happen reliably, even if you've failed multiple times before. The very first step is getting your timing right, and this is where most people fail before they even pick up a knife. Mango trees have active periods and resting periods, just like most living things. During an active growth period, the cambium, that thin living ring we just talked about, is full of energy and moisture. It's ready to bond. During a slow or dormant period, it's dry, sluggish, and not interested in fusing with anything. In most parts of the United States, the best window for mango grafting is from late spring through early summer. We're talking roughly late April through June, sometimes stretching into early July depending on where you live. The signal to watch for is fresh new growth on the tree. When you see the tips pushing out new soft leaves, when the plant looks like it's waking up and reaching outward, that is your green light. That is the moment when the cambium is most active and most likely to form a strong bond. Trying to graft outside of that window is one of the most common reasons people fail repeatedly without understanding why. They're not doing anything technically wrong. They're just asking the tree to do something it isn't prepared to do at that moment. So step 1 is this: watch your tree for new growth and only graft during that window of activity. Step 2 is preparing your tools properly, and this step gets skipped so often it's almost embarrassing how much damage it causes. Your cutting blade needs to be sharp. Not kind of sharp, razor sharp. Here's what actually happens when you cut with a dull blade. Instead of slicing cleanly through the tissue, it tears it. And torn tissue doesn't heal, it dies. It invites bacteria and fungus in through the jagged edges. The cells in the cambium layer get crushed instead of cut, and they can't participate in forming the bond. You can destroy an otherwise perfect graft just by using a blade that's a little bit dull. So before you touch a single plant, test your blade. Run it across a piece of plain paper. It should glide through without any resistance, without tearing, without dragging. If it catches even slightly, sharpen it or replace it. Then, and this is just as important, wipe that blade down with rubbing alcohol before every single graft. The garden is full of bacteria and fungal spores. Your hands carry them. The soil carries them, even the air carries them. One contaminated cut directly into the open tissue of a graft union can silently introduce an infection that kills the graft from the inside before it ever gets a chance to form. 10 seconds of wiping your blade with alcohol before each cut is one of the highest return habits you can build in this entire process. Step 3 is choosing the right scion wood, and this is the step that trips up even growers who've been at this for a while. Not every branch on a mango tree is suitable for grafting. If you grab a branch that's too young, fresh green growth that's still soft and tender, it doesn't have enough structure to survive long enough for the union to form. It will wilt and collapse within days. If you grab a branch that's too old, dark, thick, woody, been on the tree for years, the cambium inside has slowed way down and won't bond effectively. The sweet spot is what experienced growers call semi-hardened wood. This is a branch that recently finished a flush of fresh growth. It's no longer soft and floppy. It feels firm when you press it. The color has deepened slightly from bright green toward a muted olive or brownish green. The leaves at the tip might still be showing some color, but the stem itself feels solid. When you find that kind of wood, that's your scion. Cut it cleanly from the donor tree. Wrap the cut end with a slightly damp paper towel immediately to prevent moisture loss and get ready to use it. If you can't graft right away, we'll talk about how to store it properly in just a little while. Step 4 is making your cut, and the single most important thing I can tell you about making the cut is this. Do it once, smoothly, and don't touch the cut surface with your fingers. When you press your fingers against a freshly cut grafting surface, you leave behind oils and bacteria that interfere with bonding. This is a habit that's hard to break because it feels natural to hold things in place, but train yourself to handle the scion and rootstock by the bark or by surfaces that aren't the fresh cut. Make your cut in one fluid motion, not two, not a sawing motion back and forth. One deliberate, confident stroke that glides straight through. The surface should look almost glassy when the light hits it. That smooth surface is what allows the cambium to press evenly and bond completely. If you look at the cut surface and it looks rough, fibrous, or uneven, make another cut and start fresh. One smooth cut beats 5 rough ones every single time. Step 5 is lining up the cambium, and this is where you have to slow down and pay attention. Look at the cut surface of both your scion and your rootstock. You'll notice the hard, pale, woody center, and then right at the outer edge, there's a slight color change, a thin ring that looks slightly different, slightly greener or shinier. That's the cambium. On the rootstock, find that ring. On the scion, find that ring. Your entire goal in placing the scion onto the rootstock is to make those two rings touch on at least one side. If the rootstock is thicker than the scion, which is very common, shift the scion to one edge so the cambium lines up on that one side. Don't try to center it. One side touching perfectly is far better than both sides slightly off. Once you've placed it, hold it gently but firmly without shifting it, and move immediately to wrapping. Step 6 is wrapping, and you need to move quickly. The moment those cut surfaces are exposed to air, they start drying out. Every second that passes before wrapping is a second of moisture loss from the cambium. Pick up your grafting tape or parafilm wrap before you even start making your cut, so it's right there in your hand. Start your wrap below the union and spiral upward, overlapping each layer slightly as you go. The pressure should feel snug, firm enough that the scion cannot shift or rotate, but not so tight that you're cutting into the bark. Cover the entire union completely. Don't leave any gaps. Once it's wrapped, many experienced growers add a small clear plastic bag over the scion to create a humid environment around it. This is especially helpful in dry climates or during warm weather. The bag traps moisture and keeps the scion from drying out while it's waiting for the union below to form. Leave a tiny bit of space so the bag isn't pressing against the buds, and tie it loosely around the stem below the union. Step 7 is placement and patience. Once your graft is done, find a spot that gives the plant bright, indirect light. Not full direct afternoon sun. That's too much stress for a plant that's in recovery mode. A location that gets gentle morning sun and shade in the afternoon is ideal. Keep the soil consistently moist but never waterlogged. Wet roots sitting in soggy soil can develop root rot, which will kill the rootstock and take your graft with it. Do not fertilize during this period. The plant doesn't need a push right now. It needs stability and calm. And here's the hardest part of all. Do not unwrap the graft before 3 weeks. This is a rule, not a suggestion. The cambium tissue forming inside that union is fragile in ways you cannot see. Even slightly moving or rotating the scion during that critical bonding period can break apart connections that were just beginning to form. Set a reminder on your phone if you have to. 3 weeks minimum, then check for signs of life. If you see the buds on the scion swelling, turning green, or pushing out new growth, your graft has taken. That is one of the best feelings in all of gardening. Now let's talk about the common mistakes. Because even when growers follow most of the right steps, a few hidden habits keep showing up and silently destroying grafts. The first big mistake is grafting onto rootstock that isn't established enough. Some growers get excited and try to graft onto very young seedlings that are only a few weeks or a couple of months old. The problem is that young rootstock doesn't have enough root mass or energy to push the healing process forward. Your rootstock should be at least 1 year old. It should have a solid stem, roughly the diameter of a pencil or slightly thicker at the point where you'll be making the graft. The more established and healthy the rootstock, the more energy it has available to form that union. The second common mistake is using old or dehydrated scion wood. If you received scion wood in the mail, or if you cut it the day before and left it sitting out, the cambium may already be too dried out to bond effectively. Always graft with scion wood that was cut as recently as possible. If you need to store it, the proper method is to wrap it in a slightly damp, not wet, paper towel, place it in a sealed plastic bag, and store it in the crisper drawer of your refrigerator. Not the freezer, the crisper. This keeps it cool and slows down moisture loss without freezing and killing the tissue. Stored this way, scion wood can remain viable for up to 2 weeks. When you're ready to graft, take it out and let it sit at room temperature for about 20 minutes before you make your cuts. The third common mistake is applying the wrap too loosely. People are sometimes afraid of hurting the graft by wrapping too firmly, but a loose wrap is far more dangerous than a firm one. If the scion can move, even just a tiny bit, every time the wind blows, or every time you walk past and accidentally bump it, those microscopic connections forming in the cambium get torn apart. The wrap needs to immobilize the union completely. Firm overlapping layers. No wiggle. No shift. The fourth mistake is impatience. This is the one that gets everybody at least once. You can't help yourself. You unwrap it at 10 days just to check. And in doing so, you disturb the union, introduce air and bacteria, and sometimes physically break apart the early bonding tissue. The graft might have been working perfectly, and then it wasn't. 3 weeks. Every time. Without exception. Now here's the bonus pro tip that almost nobody talks about in beginner grafting content. It's called staggered grafting, and experienced mango growers use it to dramatically improve their overall success rates without doing anything differently on any individual graft. Here's how it works. Instead of preparing one graft and putting all your hope on it, prepare 3 to 5 grafts in the same session. Use different scion pieces from the same donor tree if possible. Graft them onto different rootstock plants, or if you have a large enough tree, graft onto different branches. Then keep notes, simple ones. Which scion wood felt more hardened? Which rootstock looked healthiest? Which graft location got better shade? After 3 weeks, when you check on all of them, you'll see a pattern. Some took, some didn't, but now you can compare and learn. What did the successful ones have in common? What was different about the ones that failed? This kind of systematic approach is what separates growers who eventually hit 80 to 90% success rates from those who stay stuck at 20 or 30%. You're not just grafting, you're experimenting, observing, and getting smarter with every round. Most people don't realize that the fastest path to becoming a great grafter is running multiple attempts at once and paying attention to what the results are telling you. One more thing the pros know, always label your grafts. Write the name of the scion variety and the date of grafting on a small tag and tie it loosely to the branch below the union. This might seem unnecessary when you're only doing a few grafts, but the moment you start doing several at once across different trees, you'll lose track fast. And there is nothing more frustrating than successfully growing a beautiful mango tree and having no idea what variety it is or whether it matches what you intended to grow. Let's bring this all the way home. Mango grafting fails because of a chain of small, invisible problems. Wrong timing when the tree isn't ready. A dull blade that tears instead of cuts. The wrong scion wood that's too young or too dry. cambium layers that don't line up and touch, wrapping that's too slow or too loose, and then rushing the process before the union has had enough time to form. Fix those things one by one, and you are going to see a completely different outcome. This isn't complicated once you understand what's actually happening underneath that wrap. You're asking two living things to become one. When you give them the right conditions, the right time, the right cut, the right contact, the right protection, and enough patience, they do it on their own. You're just setting the stage. If you've failed at mango grafting before, I want you to go back and think about which step was the weak link. Was it the timing? The scion wood? The cambium alignment? The wrap? Once you identify where things went wrong, your next attempt is going to feel completely different. And I want to hear about it. Drop your questions, your results, or even your grafting failures in the comments below. Tell me what happened, and I will personally help you figure out what went wrong. This community is here to learn together, and that's exactly what makes it work. If this video helped you understand something you've been struggling with, hit that like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps other growers find this content who are going through the same thing you were. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you know the moment our next video drops. Because we are just getting started on mango growing content, and the next video covers something that is going to completely change how you think about rootstock selection. You don't want to miss it. Now go get your hands in the dirt. Your next graft is going to take